Okay, friends, let us begin. We'll spend 2 minutes in silent meditation, just allowing everybody and ourselves to arrive to practice this evening. So get settled in a comfortable seat, find your dignified posture, sit up tall but relaxed, alert and at ease. And I invite you to close your eyes, and I'll time us for just about 2 minutes to begin. So please take a deep breath in through the nose. Briefly hold the breath at the top as you're full. And then with an open mouth, let the breath go. Let's do that again. It's really nice at the end of a long day, if you're here with me live, to take a deep breath in, briefly hold, and with a slightly open mouth, let the breath go. Imagine that you're letting go of your day or anything that happened today that you'd like to just kind of soften away from. One more time, in through nose and out through mouth. And please open your eyes if you haven't yet. So, a big warm official welcome to our second class of Mindful Holidays. Last time, 2 weeks ago, we talked about moving from expectation to observation, and that recording is available for you if you want to go back and watch it. And then the class for this evening is on moving from separation toward healing. And the topic tonight is on being in a family or being in a group of people, whether it's colleagues, friends, family, who have different worldviews than you do. This is such a timely topic in this era that we're living in. It's probably always a timely topic, but we essentially want to change how this friction lives in our body so that we don't have to not find beauty when we're together with certain people, but we can still coexist in a way that feels, I mean, the best way to describe it is has a little less friction inside in both body and mind. So a lot of these contemplative practices are ultimately for protection of our own mind. There's a lot of end goals with these practices, but many of them are for protection of our own mind, which initially sounds kind of self-serving, doesn't it? Like it sounds like it's all about me and just what I need and what I want. And however, we quickly begin to see that what we do for ourselves, we're actually doing for the rest of the world. What we do for ourselves, we're doing for our families, we're doing for our work, we're doing for healing wherever our area of service is, because without these moments of, I'm going to call it selfish, but not in a bad way, we can't then turn around and be selfless. So we have to really tend to our own garden first. It's like putting on our own oxygen mask first, right? It's that same idea. We know the lens of anger and resentment. Like everybody knows how that feels. And we know the lens of compassion and healthy boundaries. And so as we move through this conversation tonight and the practice, know that it's going to help us see through a different lens. It's going to help us move from seeing through a lens of annoyance, anger, blame, shame, like all those wonderful feelings we get to experience as part of being human. And instead, maybe start to see through a softer lens, a different lens. The 14th principle of Buddhist psychology says that if we cling to our anger or our hatred, we will suffer. It is possible to respond to anything strongly, wisely, and compassionately without hatred. I love that one. And so, first and foremost, the desire has to be there to evolve this, right? There has to be a desire to want to change this situation, because without that, this conversation really wouldn't serve you, right? So you're here and you're listening because there's some kind of interest and some desire, I'm guessing, in really furthering the evolution of this conversation. It is a choice to stay angry and to stay gossipy. It's a choice to go higher than that. And I'm guessing because you're here tonight, like me, you want to go higher than that. I recently spent an evening with a Buddhist psychology teacher. Meaning over Zoom. I watched a Zoom class of his. It was great. It was live stream. His name is Josh Korda, Korda, if you want to look him up. The name of the talk was Compulsive Behavior and Addiction Through the Lens of Early Buddhist Psychology. Just a little light listening for a Friday night. It was a really fascinating class. And what really landed with me was a question that a student actually asked at the end. This young man was having a hard time with some of his deep and intense anger toward anyone in his life with a different political or worldview than he. Like he was really struggling with his hard inner stance on it. It was causing him some pain and some suffering. So Josh's answer to this young man, he must have been, early 20s, was one of perspective. He offered this young man perspective that really landed with me too, and I'll share it with you. He said that asking somebody to understand an opposite worldview or even change worldviews is asking somebody to leave their tribe. It's asking them to break away from their community, to break away from their people, to leave their support system. He said that overall, regardless of what you think should happen in this world, whatever side you're on, he said overall, this is all driven by emotion, so much more than logic or what's, quote, right. It's almost all based in emotion. And because of that, how that lives in the brain, plus this deeply held communal tribe thing that I just mentioned, it's almost impossible to change somebody's mind about this, about worldview beliefs. It's so deeply embedded that, 1 in a million, maybe somebody would actually change their mind based off your preaching and pleading and your logic and all the arguments you have. It's never going to happen. And I don't know about you, but for me, that gave me a big sigh of relief. Like, I'm not trying to change anybody's mind around here. I'm just trying to coexist as best I can, conserve my energy so I can serve where I can actually be of use. Do you know what I mean? That's a really different thing than going to battle with somebody every time you're with them, which is a total waste of energy, I think. So while it might sound disappointing that this 1 in a million, because of how this is sitting in the brain, because of our tribal thing, I don't think it's disappointing. I don't think that's bad news at all. I think that knowing we can't change somebody is really good information, because who can we change, right? We can change ourselves. We can change ourselves. We can change how this thing lives in our body, how it lives in our mind and our nervous system. When we move into blame, when we put someone or a group of someones in a category, we are putting them in a category. In mindfulness training, it's called the unreal other. The unreal other. And we unreal other people a few ways. One is the news, right? I think it's a way that we protect our heart and our mind from some of the world's pain. Like you might see the news, a story about something that happened halfway across the world that's deeply tragic, yet some part of us can read that and say, oh, what a shame. Or, oh, for the grace of God, there go I, and we just go along with our day, right? That's a protective mechanism that we hold in our nervous system and in our mind. And that's one way that we unreal other people, right? Two is the way in which we unreal other people who feel differently than us about politics, about religion, about race, about all the things that are frankly causing a lot of fires in this country. It's so easy to just look at that one thing and put that one person in a box based off of that. But we all know people are so much deeper than that. People are so much more complex than that. And so this idea of unreal other is pretty juicy. It's pretty eye-opening. Unreal other emerged in human neurobiology in service of survival. Like so much of how we operate today was developed in service of survival of the human species. So for millions of years, our earliest ancestors lived in small and isolated groups. And so anybody outside the group, we deemed a threat. We deemed not only a threat, but we deemed them inferior, basically not human. And it's how we learn to survive in familial groups and tribes. There's that word again, right? That's who we trusted, was who was around us at the time. So, and because of this perception in the brain, there was no hesitation to attack or kill people that we deemed outside our tribe, that we deemed unreal other. But then 70,000 years ago, we entered a new age with a dramatic leap in communication, collaboration, brain development. It's when the prefrontal cortex, this front part of the brain, which among other things helps us regulate, it helps with empathy, compassion, mindfulness. This started to develop. And it continued to develop so that today we have a much stronger, denser, thicker prefrontal cortex than we ever have. Yet unreal other still persists, even though we have this different part of the brain that we've developed where we can essentially override unreal other now with compassion and reason and mindfulness. It still exists. It's still in there. It's still deep in the brain, in the survival part, the oldest part, and it keeps us stuck in racism, classism, war, oh my gosh, destruction of the earth, the trance of regression, like all the things that we struggle with. It's still there. It's not going away. And so it's not just these strangers in the news that become unreal to us. The more stressed, reactive, and divided we are as a people, the more even those who are close to us, who we consider really dear, can become unreal. When we see our worldview as superior to someone else's, we close ourselves off to the basic goodness of that person's humanity. We have elevated ourselves to some status inside our own mind that actually isn't really real. When we do that, we can numb ourselves to that person's hurts, to their fears, to their hopes, to their dreams. We lose our ability to respond with warmth and kindness. We lose that tender connection we might have had before with that person. We essentially revert back to that brain, that ancient brain function of millions of years ago, where we deemed anyone outside our little tribe a threat to our lives. That is literally where we're going in the brain, although it looks different today because we're not allowed to attack people, right? Although it's happening in the news. All of this to say, my friends, each of us has the capacity, if we want to, through our evolved prefrontal cortex, it's front part of the brain, we can start to move through this insidious chronic resentment that so many people are living with today through our practice, through this little bit of education about what's happening, why it's happening, letting ourselves off the hook for, oh, I have a human brain, I have human neurobiology, there's nothing wrong with me, and I'm interested in evolving this. We can, if we want to. So that was a lot tonight. Let's take a moment, take a couple deep breaths. And our practice tonight is one on loving kindness, and it's called seeing past the mask. Seeing past the mask. So get yourself settled for our sit this evening, or whenever you happen to be watching, if you're catching this later. Again, sit up tall and dignified, but peaceful and at ease in the body. And I do invite you to close your eyes tonight. Take a moment to settle into body and to settle into breath. Whenever we recognize goodness, someone's basic human goodness, our own heart opens with loving kindness. And as I mentioned in the beginning of this conversation this evening, that's changing the lens through which we're seeing. It's softening our inner stance. On this next exhale, let go of any tension that you can in the shoulders, the hands, even the belly. And maybe you even feel a smile spread through your eyes. Feel the weight of your hands resting on your thighs, in your lap, wherever they may be. And feel the weight of your seat in the chair or on the cushion if you're seated. And again, take a breath in where you grow just a little bit taller, and with a slightly open mouth, release that breath. I invite you to bring into your heart somebody who you love. And take a moment to reflect on the qualities of this person that you most appreciate. Picture this person when he or she is feeling love for you, and be aware of his or her essence as good and wakeful and caring. In your heart, feel appreciation for this dear one. And I will give you a few phrases to say to this person silently in your own mind as you keep them close in your heart. So the first phrase, as you keep this person close, say to them, "May you feel safe and at ease." As you keep this person close or even visualize them, say to them silently, "May you be happy." Silently say, may you touch great and natural peace. And silently say, may you know the natural joy of being alive. Imagine how it might feel for this person to experience the fruit of this blessing from you, the fullness of love, self-acceptance, peace, joy, freedom. Imagine them soaking it in. And now widen your circle of caring by bringing to mind a neutral person. This could be somebody that you see regularly who you don't know very well. And just take a moment to recall how this person looks, how this person moves, how this person speaks. And then try to imagine him or her gazing at a beloved child, or perhaps struck by the beauty of a fresh snowfall. Or if it lands better, perhaps this person is laughing, they're relaxed, they're at ease. And remind yourself that he or she wants to be happy and does not want to suffer. And so as this person comes alive for you, keep them close in your mind's eye and say to this person, may you feel safe and at ease. May you be happy. May you touch great and natural peace. And may you know the natural joy of being alive. And now bring to mind someone with whom you have a difficult relationship. This could be somebody who evokes anger, fear, or even hurt, but maybe don't go to the absolute hardest unless you feel resourced enough to do that tonight. And as you bring this person into your mind's eye, first take a moment to bring a kind and non-judging attention to your own feelings as you reflect on this person. A kind and non-judging attention to your own feelings. And then as you turn toward this person, try to see past the mask. Look to see some aspect of his or her basic goodness. It may help to imagine this person as a young child, sleeping peacefully. And sometimes it helps to soften our hearts towards somebody, to imagine them at the end of their life. That can be a softening experience. Can you recall something about this person that you admire? Some quality of dedication or caring or creativity? Even if it's difficult to recognize this person's goodness, remind yourself that all humans want to be happy. All humans want to avoid suffering. And remember that this person's life matters just as much as yours, and life matters to this person just as it does to you. And so, holding him or her in a gentle attention, begin offering the phrases of loving kindness, starting with, "May you feel safe and at ease." May you be happy. May you touch great and natural peace. And may you know the natural joy of being alive. Inhale deeply for yourself. Exhale completely. Next, imagine that you are bringing together all those you have just prayed for. A dear person, a neutral person, a difficult one, and take this moment now to include yourself, honoring the goodness and sincerity that you've brought to this meditation today. Holding yourself and these others in your heart. Sense your shared humanity, your vulnerability, and basic goodness. Send prayers of loving kindness to the four of you at once, recognizing that you are, in fact, in this together. The last step of this meditation, as we near the end, is to allow your awareness now to open out in all directions, in front of you, to either side, behind you, below you, and above you. In this vast space, sense that your loving presence is holding all beings. The wild creatures that fly and swim and run across fields, the dogs and cats that live in our homes, the life forms that are threatened with extinction, the trees, grasses, and flowers, children everywhere, humans living in poverty and those with great riches, those at war, those at peace, those who are dying and those who are newly born. Imagine that you can hold the earth, our mother, in your lap and include all life everywhere in your boundless heart. In closing, aware of the goodness inherent in all living beings, we'll offer these 4 phrases. May you feel safe and at ease. May you and all beings be happy. May you and all beings touch great and natural peace. And may you and all beings know the natural joy of simply being alive. Anytime you need to generate goodwill from your own heart and send it out, simply the phrase, may you be well, is enough. You can use that tool anytime you need to soften your inner landscape, soften the lens through which you're seeing, soften your own defended heart. May you be happy. May you be well. May you be peaceful. Receive a slow, nourishing breath in as you bring your hands to prayer, and as you let that breath go, gently bow your chin. This practice was a big one tonight, and so I encourage you to listen to it again and practice the meditation again. You can separate it into lecture and meditation and skip one or the other. But I really am so grateful for your presence in this work. And I will see you. I believe our next session is next week, but you'll check the calendar. Much love to you and many thanks. Have a great evening.